We don't count these kinds of things, but I've covered a lot of hurricanes and tropical storms and forest fires and industrial accidents across North Carolina for the News and Observer. And all of those events elicit a strong response from people who read about them. They want to help. Hurricane Helene generated that response on an almost global scale. And I think it's partly because of the scale of the devastation and the number of people who were affected by it. I also think that it's because no one who was affected by this invited it on themselves. There was no risky behavior. People were not doing things that they shouldn't have been doing. They were out there living their lives and looking after themselves and their families and their neighbors. And along came this once-in-a-thousand-year storm, and it washed everything away. And I think we know somewhere deep down that if a few variables had been different, it could have been us.
My most memorable reporting moment in 2024 was the flurry of days in July when Kamala Harris became the Democratic candidate for president and hadn't picked a running mate yet. And one of her potential picks was North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper. So it was a lot of will he or won't he be on the list? Does he want to be vice president? What does that mean for North Carolina? What does it mean for the governor's race this year? And he wasn't talking. And in the end, it turned out he wasn't on that list that she had, didn't even want to be on the list. And Stein won the governor's race, and Cooper is finishing out the last days of his term, although he might run for Senate.
My favorite story from this year was about the election, but it came out well before any votes were actually cast. I did a story looking at all of the county election directors across the state whose job is to make sure that everyone's ballot gets counted. It's a difficult job, and when we collected salary information for all 100 county election directors, we found that pay varied widely and didn't always match up with experience. As lawmakers pass further changes to election law for future contests, I think this story gives some insight into the workers who are affected by this upheaval.
2024 was a year of so many serious news stories. Of course, the devastation of Hurricane Helene and so many political stories. The one thing I'll always remember, though, was the story that just brought back nostalgia for me. Drew Jackson did a really nice package all about Calabash, North Carolina. I grew up in North Carolina, and my family would always go to the beach, and at least 1 or 2 nights we would go to Calabash for that special seafood. Drew told me so many things I didn't know, and it was just a breath of fresh air on a year when I really needed it.